What's up, guys? Chris once again back here to do some predictions for this weekend's big UFC 135 going down in Denver, Colorado. I say big because the main event is a big fight. I don't know about the rest of the card so much, but the main event's definitely got that big fight feel to it for myself personally as a fan. And plus, man, anything's gonna be better than this past weekend's UFC fight night. No disrespect to the fighters on it, but man, that event, whoo, definitely underwhelming. Anyways, real quick on the undercard, the only fight I really want to mention real quick is Cole Escobedo versus Takeo Mizugaki. Looking forward to that one. Escobedo is better on the ground, Mizugaki better standing, but unfortunately for Escobedo, Cole, he doesn't really have the wrestling to get Mizugaki down, so he's probably going to get a bit of a beating on the feet, but I just think it's going to be an entertaining fight. As for the main card, Ben Rothwell, Mark Hunt. Got to go with Ben Rothwell. Mark Hunt, obviously he's a good striker. Great striker, potentially. In MMA, I guess you consider him a great striker, especially for a heavyweight. But his best days are far behind him. He is far past his prime. Ben Rothwell may not be the best fighter in the world ever, or either, but he's going to get Mark Hunt down most likely, and when he does, he's probably going to submit him. So go with Rothwell to win this by first round submission. Next up, I don't know the order of these bouts exactly, but I'm going to go with Travis Brown, Rob Broughton. I'm not really familiar with Rob Broughton. I believe he's out of the UK, big guy. But Travis Brown's a guy that the UFC has I think they see as a future heavyweight attraction. Not necessarily believe he's going to ever be the UFC heavyweight champion. May not even, get a title shot, earn one. But he's a guy I think that can make some waves and make some entertaining fights as he already has since his tenure. So I'm going to go with Travis Brown by TKO. But anything can happen in a heavyweight fight in the MMA. Although I guess that could also apply to Rothwell and Mark Hunt. I mean, Mark Hunt could catch Rothwell and knock him out. I just don't see it happening. So go with Rothwell by sub, as already said, and Travis Brown by knockout. All right, Nate Diaz, Takanori Gomi. I guess this signifies that the Nate Diaz at welterweight experiment's over, at least for the time being. He's back at lightweight after getting tossed around like a rag doll against Rory McDonald in his last fight. As for Gomi, I think he's coming off that loss to Clay Guida, if memory serves correct. The crazy thing about this fight, except for, just on paper alone, look at this fight, you're like, damn, Nate Diaz, Takanori Gomi, it's going to be sick. But also the fact that there's history where Takanori Gomi had that epic fight against Nate's brother Nick in Pride in Vegas. Still probably one of, if not my favorite fight to watch of all time in MMA history. That and maybe Cyborg Santos against Melvin Manoff. That's a great one as well. But this fight, Gomi, another fighter, his best is clearly behind him. Still can throw though, still can bang, and that's where his biggest advantage is in this fight. Nate Diaz, solid chin, but he's easy to hit. On the ground, no contest. Nate's definitely the much better grappler, but he's got to get the fight to the ground. Gomi's a better wrestler than Diaz, but Diaz has got some tricky takedowns. He's pretty persistent with them. And Nate's not afraid to stand and trade either. It may be against to his detriment, much like it was to his brother Nick against Gomi for the most part. But I think that this fight eventually is going to hit the ground, and when it does, I see Nate get a submission, much like his brother Nick did. I don't know if it's actually going to be a go-go plot out of nowhere, but I do think that Nate's going to catch Gomi on the ground somewhere in this fight and sub him out. But if he gets knocked out or loses on strikes to Gomi, I'll be no surprise. I will not be surprised. Or it will be no surprise, however you want to put it. Anyways, co-main event of the night. Matt Hughes, Josh Koscheck. Was originally scheduled to be Matt Hughes versus Diego Sanchez. Unfortunately, Diego got hurt. I say unfortunately because that's actually a more intriguing bout to me. Plus, I got to be honest, full disclosure, this is a fight between my two all-time least liked fighters in the history of the Octagon or the UFC. Never been a Matt Hughes fan, never will. And the same goes for Josh Koscheck. I just don't like their attitudes or their personalities. They both come off with kind of cocksure, arrogant, which I don't mind in certain fighters, but something about these two guys rub me the wrong way. So, whoever loses, I really won't care. But in all honesty, I actually kind of very favor Matt Hughes because at least he's kind of earned his rep at this point. Koscheck, I think he just thinks he's better than he is. Not to say he's not a good fighter, but whatever. Anyway, for the fight, Hughes coming off that knockout first round of BJ Penn in their third bout. Koscheck coming off the one-sided loss to George St. Pierre. Although Koscheck took this fight on relatively late notice, I gotta favor him. Hughes in that BJ Penn loss kind of makes you question what he has left in the chin department. Now, granted, he looked good against Ricardo Almeida not too long ago, but his prime is also well behind him, as is Takanori Gomi and Mark Hunt, who I've already previously mentioned. Josh Koscheck, Matt Hughes has been known for the most part being a better wrestler in his fights. It's not going to be the case here. And I think Josh Koscheck's a better striker as well. I don't think he's the striker that Joe Rogan tries to lead one to believe every time Josh Koscheck fights. But he is the better fighter here. He's the better on the in the stand-up department here. And I think he has a better chin. So Koscheck wants to keep this fight standing. I think he'll be able to get the better of it. If it hits the ground, I think Koscheck still probably have an edge there as well. Although Hughes can be tricky on the ground with his submissions. But I don't see Koscheck getting caught. So I'm going to go with Josh Koscheck to win this fight by decision. But I don't know. I really don't care who wins or loses this fight, in all honesty. Main event of the night, UFC light heavyweight champion Jon Jones defending his title against Quentin Rampage Jackson. Bones coming off that where he won his title against Shogun, where he absolutely dominated the former champ. Rampage coming off a bit of a lackluster yet winning effort against Matt Hamill. Honestly, I'm looking forward to this fight. Longtime Rampage fan, but I wasn't super hyped for it because I'm like, kind of favor Jones. But the interview that they had, the face-off interview they had the other night on the UFC show, the Fight Night card, was pretty damn entertaining. Rampage showed some genuine, looked like some genuine anger, animosity towards Jon Jones. And that usually adds to a fight, Kind of like how he got hyped up for the Rashad Evans fight, although that didn't really work out so much in his favor or in the favor of the fans because that fight was pretty boring. I don't expect this to be a boring fight, though. I am interested to see how or if the altitude will play a factor, this fight being in Denver, Colorado. Both guys have shown issues with fatigue and, kind of gassing out in previous fights. So if this fight ends up going long, it's a potential 5-round fight, 25 minutes. Both guys could be really tired out late in the fight. That said, as for the matchup itself, I got to favor Jon Jones. Like I said, Rampage is really slow and plodding and flat-footed in that win against Matt Hamill. Couldn't take Matt Hamill out, who was just didn't really have much to offer at all. So I know Rampage will come into this fight more eager, more he'll be better trained. He'll be fighting a lot harder than he was for that fight, more anxious to get in there than he was for the Matt Hamill bout. That said, I just don't think he's going to be able to track down Jon Jones. Jon Jones is a lot taller. He's got that huge, reach advantage. He's a lot faster. I think he'll probably work in some leg kicks, something that Rampage has never responded well to. So I think he'll work in some leg kicks here and there, kind of slow Rampage down even more, keep him at a distance with the punches. Probably throw some crazy things, but not as much because he doesn't want to take a risk, Jones that is, of getting caught by a big punch from Rampage. That's the thing with Jon Jones. That's the one, the most intriguing factor in this fight, in my opinion, is the fact that we have yet to see Jon Jones really get hit flush in the face and see how he'll respond to it or if he can hold up to it. And if nothing else, Rampage definitely has got one hell of a good punch. He's also got a solid chin. So if Jones is going to take him out, it's going to be an accumulation of just punishment because he's not going to put Rampage out with one shot. Even Vanderlei couldn't do it with some of the most brutal offense at the time. But yeah, I think Jones is going to play it safe. Pick him apart to the legs, jabs and stuff early on, first couple of rounds, try to keep the distance. And I think Rampage is going to slow down, and when he does, I think Jones is just going to start pouring it on even more with his offense. I don't know if he'll get a stoppage because, like I said, Rampage is tough as hell. But if Rampage is really getting picked apart and gets tired, he might be able to get him to the ground and finish it off with elbows on the ground because Jones has shown he's got some brutal ground and pound from the top, particularly with those elbows of his. Ask Brandon Vera and Shogun and Matt Hamill. Anyways, like I said, Rampage can win this fight, but most likely it's only going to be by catching Jones, hurting him, and finishing him off. And although it's not another real possibility, I just don't see it happening. So I'm going to favor Jon Jones to win this fight. I'm going to go with decision because, like I said, Rampage is tough as hell. But, yeah, favor Jon Jones. And I don't even think it'll be that close of a fight, in all honesty. Anyways, that's my thoughts on that one. Want to hear your guys' thoughts on the fight itself, on the event, which fight you're looking forward to, how you see him going. I guess Hughes Koscheck. I'm curious if you guys, like myself, would have preferred a Hughes versus Diego Sanchez fight as opposed to Hughes Koscheck. What do you see going down in Diaz Gomi? And, of course, the main event, Jon Jones versus Quentin Rampage Jackson. Anyways, talked about this event and more on your State Science Finance radio show. If you didn't get a chance to check it out live, you can check out the podcast, link in the information part of the video as always, as well as link to scienceofviolence.com and my Twitter. So for now, guys, probably back on Saturday night to talk about the event afterwards. But until then,